Hello, everyone. My name is David Serna. I am so happy that you have joined us today. This is our workshop about using Zoom with our new Blackboard integration. So let's go over what we'll cover in our workshop today. Number one, we'll go over activating your UDC Zoom account. I'll also go over some troubleshooting tips, just in case you're having problems accessing this within Blackboard. For number two, we'll talk about accessing Zoom in Blackboard itself. Hello, Christian. Hello, Fatma. Thank you so much. We'll also talk about scheduling Zoom meetings, which you can do within Blackboard itself. So it's a really nice integration for your classes, especially for the new semester. And we'll talk about accessing cloud recordings. A great thing about our Zoom account with UDC is that everything will be saved in the cloud. That makes it really easy for you to access as well as your students. So no more saving it, downloading it on your computer, uploading it somewhere else. It will all be saved there. Last but not least, we'll go over some best practices. I'll do a quick review of some of the Zoom functions and answer your questions. So let's get started. So here's something that I love to show in all of my workshops. You can also adapt this for your own classroom, especially as you're getting used to Zoom and using it with your students. So number one, they're muted. Maybe their videos are off. So if you look right here at the toolbar, there are two functions. You can go ahead and unmute, or you can start your video here. So these are the two functions on the toolbar on the left. Number two is the chat box. The chat box is a great way for students to participate. You can also have someone else, either a TA or student volunteer, to also look at the chat while you're teaching. Another great function of the chat is that they can save this chat on their computer. So let's say that we're sharing a lot of links like I'll do today. If you click on those three dots in the lower right corner of that chat box, it will say save chat to my computer. If your students ask where this is saved, usually in their computer folder under documents, find Zoom, all those Zoom chats will be saved under that folder. Last but not least are the reactions. So sometimes no one turns on their camera when I do a workshop or when I've taught in the past. So reactions can really help the instructor to know how everyone is feeling and what's going on. So you'll see that on your toolbar, it says reactions. Let's go over a couple things here. So as you can see, there are a default set of emojis. If you click on your toolbar right now, there's also a raise hand icon. For me as the instructor, if you have a question at any time, if you click on that raise hand icon, it really helps me to know to call your name. So if you're here, go ahead and try that out right now. Click on reactions and click on that raise hand icon. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Carl, Julian. Excellent. Thank you, Fatma. Yes, so that shows me as the instructor or anything that I'm leading. It's a really nice little function for me to go ahead and call your name, right? Cool. Another thing that you can do is change the skin tone for these emojis. So how you do that is under here, you'll see those three dots, click on that. And at the very bottom, you'll see all these emojis pop up. Click on that little thumbs up for skin tone. Here's how you can change your skin tone for emojis. So if you'd like to try this out right now, give me a thumbs up or show me an emoji with your skin tone changed. Default is the yellow one, right? Like Simpsons characters. Excellent. So if your students ask you, how can I change my skin tone? Go ahead and show them the same thing I showed you right now. Click on reactions, the three dots. In the bottom right corner, you'll see that thumbs up icon. That's where you can change your skin tone. Excellent, I think we're good to go. So just going over those Zoom controls very briefly can really help your students to know how to participate, especially if they have their cameras off. Right? Yeah, if you like what I'm saying right now, you can give me a thumbs up. I love that, right? Okay, so let's talk about logging in. There are two screenshots right now on the PowerPoint. Please tell me in the chat box if you log into the UDC Zoom account. Do you go to number 1 or number 2? Go ahead and type that in for me. Like a little mini pop quiz.
David, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so if you're logging into our UDC Zoom account, do you go to number 1 or number 2? Wish I had my bell today, right? Yeah, Christian, unfortunately, that's wrong, right? So no stars today, but it is number 1. right? So we see the UDC Zoom login page, and we also see the regular default zoom.us login page. If you try to log in under number 2, it won't work. So let's go over how to do this. So to activate your Zoom account, if you have not already done so, you need to do this online first before you connect this or access it via Blackboard. So our website name is udc-edu.zoom.us. Remember that dash, it's important. But as you can see, great homepage, you'll see University of the District of Columbia. This is where you sign in using your UDC email and your credentials here, right? So I have any questions about this page? And Fatma also included this from our C.A.L resources. Thank you, Fatma. Excellent. So if you do try to do this within Blackboard without activating your account first, you'll see this activation error. So if you have not already done this, make sure that you're logging into our udc-edu.zoom.us account, signing in, setting up your account. I'll go over some best practices for your profile. If you try to do this in reverse and try to set this up through Blackboard first, you'll probably get this error. So just something to keep in mind. So if you are logging in with the Zoom app, quick quiz. So here's my Zoom app login page. We have number 1, where I can enter my email and password, or number 2. So if I'm logging into my UDC account, do I go to number 1 or number 2? And you can put this in the chat box. Excellent. I think everyone said number 2, right? So one of the number 1 issues I get from faculty is that they try to log in with number 1 with their UDC email. That will not work. So you have to click on number 2, which is a little key icon. That's single sign-on. Remember, you could do this either from the website or the app. Like I did today, I did it through the app. So I click on number 2, single sign-on. Once you click on that, there's another page that pops up. Enter this exactly, UDC-edu. If I only put UDC, it won't work. If I only put EDU, it won't work. If I put UDC/EDU, it won't work. So UDC-edu.zoom.us and continue, and that will do that single sign-on process with our UDC account. Right? Give me a thumbs up if that was clear for you. Excellent. Or if you're on camera, you can give me a real one, right? You can give me a real thumbs up. But if you're not on camera, you can also give me that virtual one, right? Make sure that everyone is listening to me. I remember one time I did a workshop and there were 200 people there. I think only 2 people turned on their camera. So one of them was just sitting there. I couldn't even tell if they were hearing me, right? So doing these little visual cues really helps me as the instructor today. So let's go over the UDC Zoom account features before we move on. Remember, with the UDC Zoom account, it is a pro account. So you have an unlimited number of Zoom meetings as well as unlimited minutes. I did check this out. Your meetings can be up to 24 hours long. Hopefully your meeting is not that long, but if you did want to have it that long, you can, right? So that's a cool feature. You can have up to 300 connected devices per meeting, meaning that a student can log in with their smart device, let's say a phone or tablet, or log in online. There's really an emphasis on collaboration and engagement, which I'll try to do today as well during our workshop, that really keeps people engaged and interested in the content. Last but not least, Zoom has very similar features to WebEx. If you've already used WebEx this semester, Zoom is very similar. We have a lot of in-meeting features, including chat, screen sharing, annotation, whiteboard, polling, breakout rooms, and automatic recording. Just remember that our mission at C.A.L is to really help you with any kind of web conferencing software that we have. It's really agnostic. So we're not telling you just use Zoom or just use WebEx, but anytime you're faced with these or confronted with them, you are able to use these very seamlessly with your students or any kind of meeting that you're doing, just like this one. So let's look at this typical image from Zoom. What do you notice? Feel free to unmute or you can type in the chat box.
Lots of boxes with unmuted people.
Lots of boxes like a Black Mirror, right? If I see this and I turn on my camera in a class, how would this make you feel? All your students have their cameras off. Probably not great, right? So let's change this. So something I like to tell faculty as well as your students, especially at the start of the semester, is put your profile picture there. So for example, if I turn off my video right now, you can see my profile picture with my face. That can really help me as an instructor instead of looking at these black boxes. So let's go over how to do that. If you have not already done so, you can follow along with me right now or after this is over. So number one thing I recommend for faculty, staff, students to do, anyone in the UDC community, is add your profile photo. This is really great because even if you have your camera off, sometimes I turn my camera off, you can still see what I look like, right? That gives myself presence in the classroom or in a workshop. So the way that you can do this is when you go to that udc-edu.zoom.us site, click on profile on the left side. Remember, this is done within the site itself. It's not done when you access this through Blackboard. So you want to set this up beforehand. You can also encourage your students to do the same with their Zoom profile. So I can go ahead and add my profile right there. Another great thing is you can edit your display name and also your pronouns here, right? So I have my name, David Serna, I have C.A.L, he, him, and his. So this can really help as an instructor to really use the correct pronoun with your students or anyone that is on board there. So the way that you can do this beforehand is click on edit right there. And you're able to edit your display name. And now once I set this, I can forget it. Every time I enter any kind of Zoom meeting with this account, it's already shown there. I don't have to change it every time. So as you can see here, I put David Serna, C.A.L, he, and his. Right? So just a nice thing you can start doing for your students. If you want to edit it right now, let me walk you through. So I see Fatma, Christian, Pat, Dr. Brown, Julian King, Dr. Carl S. Moore. Yeah, Dr. Carl S. Moore, he did that already, right? So his, him, he, and we. That's great. So if you want to do it right now, let me walk you through. So in the meeting, you can click on participants. You'll see everyone's name right here. Look at number 2. Next to your name, you'll see an option. It might be under more or rename. Click on that. You're able to rename it right now. And you can put your name. You can put, yeah, fancy duck. Perfect. Also, you can put your pronouns. So if you'd like to do that right now, just as practice. Excellent. Thank you, Christian. Julian, perfect. So remember, you can do this within a meeting itself, or you can do this in your profile settings like I showed you beforehand. So you set it and forget it. You don't have to keep doing it every single time. But this really respects our students with our pronouns, and they can also do this within Zoom itself. Right? So if you get any questions about that, feel free to go ahead and change it. Excellent. Cool. Before I move on to our Zoom walkthrough, are there any questions I can answer so far? Is everyone good? Hopefully no one is lost, right? Perfect. Okay, so let's do a Zoom walkthrough. I'm going to tell you how to access Zoom in Blackboard, so I'll walk you through this live. I'll also go over settings and recordings and checking attendance. So you can check your attendance and download a report, and you can mark that in our Blackboard gradebook. So let's start. So first, I will share my screen, and I'm going to use my Ultra Sandbox for this example. I think everyone can see that right now. Perfect. So what I'll do first is I'm going to go over the different functions that you can access and how you access Zoom within Blackboard itself. So as you can see here, I have my Ultra Sandbox course, just a sample for today, and I brought that up. So on Books and Tools on the left-hand side, click on View Course and Institution Tools. And you'll see on the right side, if you follow along with me, Zoom Meetings at the bottom. If you don't see this right here, you can go to Browse All Course Tools and it'll show up there as well. But in my example, you can see it says Zoom meeting. What I want to do is click on the plus sign. If I just click right here, I can access it, but let's click on the plus sign so it will be added to my course content. So let me click on the plus sign. Okay, so right there, I have my Zoom meeting added to my course content. I can make this visible to students. And a best practice is I can rename this. So let me go ahead and go to edit. And I'll put Zoom classes Mondays at 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. Right, so they know that they can click on this link and they can access these Zoom class links, right? Just a best practice. But putting it here, it takes away that extra step for students to have to go to the left side, click on books and tools, click on view course and institution tools. So I really recommend that you add this to course content. Okay, you know what? The sun is shining right in my eyes. Let me just close my window real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, perfect, right? Yeah, it did get really bright, right? All of a sudden. So as you can see under course content, I have my Zoom classes added to Blackboard. Remember our first step, I already set up my UDC Zoom account through that website. So udc-edu.zoom.us. So now if I click on Zoom classes, this will launch the Zoom integration. So I have already made some testing links. Let me go ahead and delete these. Okay, so here's how it looks like for both you and your student when you click on this Zoom integration. What I'll do is I'll schedule a new meeting. And let's go through this step by step. So topic, I can put intro to writing 101. Okay, I can also put a description. This class covers how to start writing for university. Right? Okay, so what I'll do is I'll put the date when this starts. So let's do Mondays, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. So if you've already set up Zoom meetings before, this is very similar. This is 1 hour. I can also put the time zone, Eastern time, it's already set by default. And I want to make this a recurring meeting. So right here, I have a couple more options. So I want to recur this every week. And I'll repeat it every Monday. So I'll take out the Wednesday. So there are 6 occurrences here. And there are 2 ways you can end this set of classes. You can do an end date. So if I know that my ending date will be, let's say January 31st, I can put that. Or I can choose to end it after, let's say 10 occurrences, right? So there are 2 options here for this weekly occurrence. You can also, of course, if you're meeting twice or two times a week, I can put Monday and Wednesday here. It will end after 10 occurrences or end by the date, whichever one that you prefer. If you've already set this up in WebEx, it's pretty much exactly the same. Right? Okay, now for registration, I don't require this. It's a class link. So I'll leave that unchecked by default. I'll keep the passcode and waiting room. Remember, if your students are accessing this, they just click on the link. They don't have to enter a passcode. Also, there's one more thing here. Only authenticated users can join meetings. Has anyone ever heard of Zoom bombing? Right, what is that? Do you know, Christian? What's a Zoom bomb?
Unwelcome guests when your link gets out there or when someone gives your link to someone.
Exactly, right? So I know at the start of the pandemic, this was a big problem with Zoom bombing because anyone could pretty much access through any Zoom link and enter the meeting. Now there are a couple of fail safes or safeguards to avoid that. I'm still in the sun. So number 1 is the waiting room. So just like this workshop today, I can pick and choose who to allow into my workshop or into my class. And then number 2 is only authenticated users can join meetings. So if I click on that, there are 2 options. Number 1 is sign into Zoom. Number 2 is UDC Azure, which is our UDC system. So if you want your students to be the only people that access this, you can do UDC Azure. Anyone that's signed into Zoom, they can also access this. So there are 2 options right here. For the sake of today, I'm going to just click UDC Azure. Some other things here, we have the video host and participant video off at the start. I do prefer doing that just as a best practice. So I can choose to turn on my video and my microphone when I'm ready, right? So not when I enter the class immediately you see me, I can choose to turn that on. Telephone and computer audio set by default. And then let's look at a couple meeting options before we continue. We have enable join before host. Do you think we should mark that? Probably not, right? So that means that the students can enter even before I enter as the host. I don't want that to happen. I'll just keep it off. Mute participants upon entry. I do tend to use that a lot, just so if a student is on the phone or listening to something or watching something, they can choose to unmute themselves after they enter. Breakout room pre-assign. If you've already created breakout rooms for your class, let's say you have a class of 20 and 5 breakout rooms of 4 people each, I can create my rooms beforehand with their emails. You can also import this from CSV or like an Excel document spreadsheet. That's another way you can do this breakout room pre-assign. Last one that's very important to choose is record the meeting automatically. And then always do the in the cloud option. So that will save this meeting in the cloud automatically. And then alternative host. An alternative host is someone else that can start the meeting if you're not there. So for example, let's say that Fatma is my TA. I can put her email there, so she will be able to also start this meeting if I'm not there. And I'll just click on save. Now what this does, if I go back to course meetings, is your students will now see all of these different courses right here that they can start, right? So we know that Monday, December 13th at 12 p.m., I can click on start. For the students, they'll see this as join, and they'll just join your classroom. Any questions about this?
I have only one comment.
Yep.
And thank you, David. This is really great. And you brought to my attention that feature that it will say UDC Azar or sign in. So Christian and Dr. Agar and Dr. Brown, we want to get back to you on this. We need to test it out because UDC doesn't have, the student doesn't have accounts to Zoom's UDC. So maybe it's a safer for now to uncheck until we really test this one.
Yeah, just leave it unchecked by default.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By default, until just we need to test it out, because if you have a guest from outside of the university, it might be problematic. You won't be able to bring it. So and we'll get back to you on what is the best practices after we test it.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing that up. Just remember, if you are a little bit worried about Zoom bombing, that enable breakout room or enable waiting room, that will alleviate the problem as well. So remember that anyone that's joining the meeting, for your students or a guest, you can choose to admit them or not, right? So that's another fail safe. I remember that when Zoom started being used a lot for the pandemic, that didn't really exist, right? That waiting room option. So pretty much anyone can come and go as they pleased. It's a lot easier now. Hopefully you don't have to kick anyone out, but if you do, if you just go next to their name, click on more, you're able to kick them out of the meeting, right? I've never had to do that before. Knock on wood, right? Okay, so as we can see here, all of these meetings are set correctly. You can also delete an individual meeting. So let's say on Wednesday, December 29th, I can delete this, delete just this occurrence, or delete all of the occurrences. So let's say it's a holiday, I just want to delete this one. There you go. So everything else will be saved there. I just deleted that individual one. Now, a couple other things. We went over how to access Zoom within Blackboard, and also we went over some of the settings. Now let's go over recordings. Any class that you have will be automatically recorded. So you can tell your students, if they go to the Zoom page, click on Cloud Recordings, and these recordings will be here. If they click on it, they'll be able to access both the audio only or the video and audio right here, and they can watch that class. So you don't have to upload this by yourself. You don't have to download it. Speaking of downloading, one time I forgot to do cloud recording. I saved it to my computer. The file was corrupted. I asked Zoom to help me. They couldn't help me. So cloud recording, always. That's a really great feature. And a great thing about the cloud recording too, is that you can also download it for your personal records as well, right? But the students don't have to do this. This will automatically be saved in the system, which is really nice. Now, another thing I want to go over is reports for attendance. Now, let's go to previous meeting. And as a teacher, as a TA, as an instructor, I want to go ahead and see for attendance purposes for Blackboard, who was there, and I can also see how long they were there. So here's an example from a workshop we did in November, EdTech Introduction to Qualtrics, right? Let's pretend this is a class. Right here, I can click on reports, and only you can do this, not your students. Click on report, and I can see this meeting report. I can see everyone who's joined. I can see that Kim Cruz, she was a host. She was there for 76 minutes, right? I can see that Monica G was only there for 13 minutes. So I can see the join time and the leave time. So this can really help you for your purposes with Blackboard attendance for your classes. I can also do a poll report. This one didn't have a poll, but let's say I launched a poll, I can also see and track what their responses were. So if you want to do this for a quick pop quiz, I can see their responses, I can give them credit or not. If I want to export this as a CSV file, click right here. I think you should be able to see this. If not, let me reshare it. Okay, there you go. So here's my Excel spreadsheet. I can also see everything right here. So if you like Excel, there it is, right? So this is a great feature that I just recently learned about attendance, right, and reports. Christian, go ahead.
Yeah, Dave, quick question, and this might be a little too granular, but I see an attentiveness score. This isn't something I've seen in Zoom before. Do you know what's going on with that?
Oh, I wonder what that is. Does anyone know? I just noticed that myself. Attentiveness score.
I'm a tiny bit worried.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have the ability to track your chat, emote, reactions, all that stuff. So there's an algorithm they use to calculate that, but that's as far as I know. But I imagine, especially with your brain, Christian, somebody could, you know, and David is expert on this. Someone could like leverage that to really encourage like more, more engagement and, you know, assessment around how people are being engaged during their classes or workshops.
Wonder if that's with the poll option. Let me actually see. So I'm going to look at some of my old meetings that I've done a poll with. Okay, so let me go ahead and show everyone here. So that's a great question. So let's see, I've had previous meetings and I did one using QR codes in class. Okay, so this meeting I already set up beforehand, before my Blackboard integration. So let me show you how to import a previous meeting right here. So you see the meeting ID, I can just go ahead and copy this. And I'll go back right here. And let's see. So you see this 3-dot button in the upper right corner. If I click on those 3 dots, I'm able to import a meeting. So let me import that. And I'll just paste that meeting. Import it. Now this meeting will show under my previous meetings. Let's look at the report because I did do a poll for this. So using QR codes in class, here's the poll report. So you can see right here, I had a couple faculty, including Pat. They filled out this poll. Now let's export it. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to share this. Not this one. Give me a second. So if I look at this report, let me go back to the meeting report and I'll open this. Can everyone see this as I open the file? Same thing, the attentiveness score is blank, even though I did a poll here. So that's something we can look into, right? Thank you, Christian. Something that I noticed though is when I look at the report here, it doesn't have an attentiveness score. Do you see that? Okay. Well, that's definitely something that we'll look into. But at the very least, you can see who entered, also how long they entered. So if your student said, I was there, but they're only there for 1 minute, right? Obviously, they did not hear your content. They were not participatory. But this is a great way you can use these attendance reports for Blackboard gradebook, right? For your attendance part. Any questions about this? Oh, attentiveness score is the % of time a participant had Zoom in focus. TC does not have this feature turned on, so it'll always display. Okay, great. Like zoom in focus, like zoom as the focal point on their computer.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah,
No, I found it on Zoom website.
okay. Yeah, that's something we can definitely look into, right? Thank you for highlighting that. So great, we already talked about our Zoom walkthrough. So remember, we talked about accessing Zoom within Blackboard. We also talked about setting up your settings and accessing the recording. Once you set those settings at the beginning in Blackboard, they will stay for the rest of your classes. Also, how to track attendance by downloading those reports. You can also download it as an Excel file. Right? Okay, let's have some fun. So I just want to do a quick review of the Zoom functions, including virtual background, managing your participants using the chat box, views, sharing screen, annotations, whiteboard, and breakout rooms for our second half. First one. So you may not be familiar already, but if you are not, let's try it. So you can click the arrow next to start video and stop video on your toolbar and click on video settings. What this will do, it will open up a settings page where you can change your virtual background. So if you're on camera, you can try it right now. So I can click on that up arrow, video settings, and I can change my virtual background. And I'll be at the beach now, right? So that's a way that you can really have fun with your students. You can also encourage them to change their background depending on a theme, right? Let's say we're doing a historical topic from the 60s, right? They can choose a 60s based theme and they can put that up behind them. If you're doing an icebreaker, they can choose a place they'd like to be instead of at home, right? And I'd rather be at the beach right now. So that's a way that I can change my virtual background. I can also blur it right here. Another thing that you may see when you click on virtual backgrounds is video filters. The video filters are kind of AR effects. So next to virtual backgrounds, click on the tab that says video filters. I'm able to change the filter if I want to, like I'm in a movie theater right now. I'm number 1, there we go. I can also put these holiday lights. That's a really fun way. I know since we're on Zoom, you can change things. Last one, in the bottom right corner under video filters, you'll see something called studio effects. So if I click on studio effects, I can change my eyebrows. I can also give myself a mustache and a beard if everyone can see that, right? So these are really fun things you can do. You can put lipstick on. I can also try that now, right? So these are fun things if you'd want. These are called studio effects. I can make my eyebrows thicker, more arched. I can give myself a mustache or a goatee. So these are different things I can do that look pretty natural, right? So just fun AR effects right here. Do that right now. Okay. Cool. So if you haven't already done so, you can try this out. I see, Christian, you blurred your background. These are great. If you're not in a situation or an environment that's really conducive to a learning environment, you can go ahead and change it on your own, right? Having no luck putting on the lipstick. I can put the lipstick on, right? There we go. So something you can try, those studio effects. That's something new that they added. Another thing is managing participants. This is a big one, especially with our students or if you're leading a workshop or some kind of webinar. So if you go under participants, you'll see at the very bottom right corner, it says more. If you click on that, there are a couple things you can do right here. So you can mute participants on entry. You can allow participants to unmute themselves. So let's say that I have a really large class or a really large webinar. I will uncheck that so the participants cannot unmute themselves. And I can remind them, put something in the chat box or raise that virtual hand, and then I will unmute you manually. So let's say I want them to work on an exam or they're having a test or a quiz. I don't want anyone to just speak up at any time. I can go ahead and uncheck that part where it says allow participants to unmute themselves. Let me go ahead and circle that right here. I do want to check this option though, allow participants to rename themselves. That means that they can rename themselves during class. They can add their pronouns, add their position, department, etc. One more thing is I can lock the meeting. What that means, it means that no one else can enter that meeting after it's started. So let's say 15 minutes have passed. I want to lock my meeting so no late students can arrive. So that's a function you can also use. These are all under more. Let's say I wanted to make someone a host or a co-host. I can also click on their name under participants. So for example, right now I can go under more, and I have just assigned Christian as a co-host, and he can accept that. So what the co-host can do, let's say this is your student or TA, they can monitor the chat box, they can mute or unmute people, they can turn off cameras for people, etc. So these give them some hosting controls during that workshop or class. Let's talk about chat. So in the chat box, everyone is set by default. That means that you can chat with everyone, or you can choose a person, enter their name, type into the chat, hit enter to send. So you can try that right now. If you go to the chat box where it says to, click on my name and just chat with me. Tell me how you're feeling. Also chat with people individually as well. Right? So I've seen this used in educational contexts. Let's say that a student wants some help, but they don't want to put their question or their ask in the chat box for everyone to see. You can remind them to just chat with me. Right? There's also a rumor going around that instructors are able to see private chats. We can't, right? So I know that was a rumor that was spreading on TikTok that your professors can monitor a private chat. We can't, right? But we can save the chat that's for everyone. So anything that I'm putting in the chat box right now, when I click on save chat, it'll save those everyone chats on your computer. Excellent, I think everyone did that, perfect. Let's talk about views. There's a couple different views right here. In the upper right corner, when you are in a Zoom presentation, you can go ahead and switch speaker view, gallery view, etc. Right? So I'll go ahead and stop sharing my presentation. Right now we're in gallery view. I can also do speaker view where I'm the focal point. There's also something called immersive view. I won't try that out right now. But gallery view is set by default, right? So I can go ahead and see many different people on the screen at once. We can point at each other, etc. And I love that everyone put their profile photo. That really helps with me to know who is who in the classroom. Excellent. Sharing screen, here's another one. So by default, anyone can share their screen, just like what I did right now. I just clicked on that little share icon, the up arrow. One thing that you should know is if you want to share your computer sound, there's a little button in the lower left corner that says share computer sound. Make sure that's clicked if you're sharing anything with audio from your computer or your screen. I think we're good. And last one is we'll talk about annotating. Annotating is a great feature to really involve your entire classroom on an activity. So even if I'm showing a PDF file, myself, I can go ahead and annotate different things. So for me as the host, I can go to annotate. Let's say I want to underline right here. And there's a way I can underline or circle different things on the screen for this PDF. I can also draw arrows, etc. This is a really great way to direct attention to a specific part of the screen that you're sharing. So let's try it now. If you go under View Options as a participant, you can go ahead and click on Annotate. Now, Annotate, it always happens. Annotate helps you where you can go ahead and annotate something. You can also put different stamps on here. So what I'll do is I just want to do a quick check of how everyone is feeling right now. Go ahead and annotate. You can put a star, you can put a check mark. When you annotate, for example, I feel great. I can put a check mark right there. So try it out. Let me know if that works for you. Also, if you go under stamp, there's an arrow. You can also put that. The different ways to annotate how you're feeling, right? I'm gonna say, hopefully no one is upset or sad. I think I put that one there, right? I don't feel that way, but there you go. So another way that I've used this in the past is, let's say we have a map where you're from or where you want to go. That's a way you can also do that as well, right? You can also draw. There are different things you can do here. For me as the instructor, I can go ahead and clear all the drawings. I can clear my drawings. I can clear the viewer's drawings. So I'll go ahead and clear it right now. But that's a way that you can annotate in the class, right? Or in a different scenario. So one thing I do want to show, you'll see something that says Spotlight. It looks like a little Harry Potter wand. Click on Spotlight and you'll see an arrow. If you click on the arrow, this is great because it'll show your name in that arrow. So it says David Serna right there. So that's another way if you want to see specific student responses, remind them to use the Spotlight feature and that arrow right there. Okay, Whiteboard is another one. Whiteboard is a great feature in Zoom. If you go under Share, let's go back to that page. Sharing options are right here. Once I click on Share, you'll see a Whiteboard option right there. If I click on Whiteboard, that's another way that everyone can participate and annotate. Let's try it. So I'm going to share a whiteboard. And everyone should be able to see and access this whiteboard. So let's just type your name. All right, so I'll go ahead and type out my name here. Or you can draw something. So those are ways that you can use this whiteboard in your classroom. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Fatma. Thank you, Christian. There's your star. You can also save the whiteboard. I do get this question. So as the host, next to all the annotation tools, there's something that says save with the down arrow. You can save this as a PDF or PNG. So once this whiteboard has been filled out in my class, for anything that you're using, I can save this. I can upload this to Blackboard as another resource. This is something that we did in class, but this is saved. You can save it as well. We are blasting through today. Perfect. Last but not least, let's talk about breakout rooms. Now, breakout rooms are a good function that you can use in your class at any time. Remember, when you are setting up your class, if you already want to do pre-assigned breakout rooms, you can do that. You can also do that in the moment here. So I'm going to try this out right now. So if I go under More as the host, I'll see a function that says breakout rooms. I can assign this automatically or assign manually, or I can let participants choose the room. So I'm going to just assign automatically. I'll make 2 rooms. So you'll see an invitation on your screen to join a breakout room. Click on Join Breakout Room once you see it on your screen, and then we'll come back. So I'm just going to try it out right now. You'll see an invitation to join the room. Everyone is coming back now, or everyone is back. Okay, great. So in that breakout room, you could see how easy it was to join it and also to come back. There's a 60-second countdown. You can also click on join the regular room again. As an instructor or as a host, I love to build breakout rooms into my sessions. It gives me a break, but it also gives an opportunity for your students or participants to talk with each other. Some best practices I recommend, if you want them to be in a breakout room, maximum of 5 people, you can also give them a role. So for example, if this were a situation where I wanted to do breakout rooms in a workshop, I can give them a prompt, like how can you use breakout rooms in your classroom? And then I can tell the groups, choose one person from your group to summarize the main points, and then tell us when we get back to our big group. That's a way you can give them a role, give them a task. I've also broadcasted a message in that breakout room. So I can say 2 minutes are left or 1 minute is left. Make sure that you have chosen your person as your spokesperson for the group. So those are ways you can also keep your breakout rooms really organized. When I first started doing breakout rooms, I just said, talk about something, and you can imagine they just talked about something else that wasn't related to the class. If you do have a slide that's on the screen with guiding questions, you can also tell them, use your phone or screenshot that slide so they can see all the questions when they go into the breakout room. They're not asking you, oh, what did he put up there again? They have it on their phone, they have it saved, or they jotted down the questions, and then they're able to talk about those in the breakout room. Okay, with that, I would love to answer any questions that you may have. I've used Zoom for years now. It's one of my favorite platforms. I also love to use WebEx as well. But this is a great way if you have any questions you want to try out or ask me. We can also try out different functions before your classes next semester. Just send me an email. So my email is david.serna@udc.edu. I'm also going to put some references and resources in the chat box. So let me copy and paste those. I just have these saved on my computer, so I can just put them in the chat box. The first one is my email, david.serna@udc.edu. Email me anytime. If you also want to sign up for our professional development, we have a workshop coming up on the 14th, which is all about LinkedIn learning with Dr. Andrew Carson. You can sign up for that. Just click on that professional development link. We'd love to see you. We also have a VR field trip on the 15th from 12 to 12:45. That's a great VR field trip. We'll go skiing on the slopes of Switzerland, and you're using your whole body to move. If you also want to check out our resources, Fatma put this earlier, but I just put it again for you, udc.edu/cal. We have those web conferencing tools. That includes the Zoom link. I suggest that you bookmark that, as well as resource videos if you have any questions. Right? Any questions I can answer or any comments before we say goodbye? No one fell asleep, right? Okay, perfect. No questions? Christian?
No question, David, but just thank you. This has been very helpful. Good review of some features and also seeing exactly how to integrate it into Blackboard is going to be really helpful for me. So thank you.
Yeah, Christian, have you used WebEx this semester?
I've used Blackboard Collaborate, which is
Okay.
its own problem. And I've used Zoom in the past, but with Canvas, not with Blackboard. So
yeah, you're at the community college, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's been great. I know that we've been sending some emails back and forth. It's nice to see you in a workshop. Right. Thank you. Yeah, but anything with Zoom or web conferencing tools for anyone here, also if you're listening in on the recording, please email me. I would love to work through specific situations with you. We can also try out your hosting duties. So I know sometimes if you're not used to Zoom, if you'd like to try out being a host, we can have a private consultation together. I'll go over some of those host functions as well. Right? Would love to help you. So with that, thank you everyone. Fatma?
Thank you, David, for your leadership. You're the Zoom expert.
I am. I love Zoom, actually. Even before the pandemic, I was doing all my work on Zoom. So yeah, I've used it for a while. I love it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So for everyone here, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to spend with me. I hope you have a great holiday season. There was a little bit of snow earlier, but stay warm. And I hope I can see you very soon. Bye-bye, everyone.